Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, the White House issues internal federal guidance on AI reporting, and GSA's newly expanded acquisition data reporting program is riddled with shortcomings according to its Inspector General. It's Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's dive into the day's top headlines. The Office of Management and Budget has issued its version of guidance on annual artificial intelligence use case reporting within agencies, outlining a similar process to the previous administration, albeit slimmer. That guidance, obtained by FedScoop, is dated June 27th and has been shared internally in the federal government but hasn't been made public yet. It's accompanied by a document breaking down the questions in various fields. The move suggests that despite the Trump White House's markedly different tone on AI, some details may not look so different. Despite President Donald Trump's criticism of President Joe Biden's handling of AI, including the immediate rescission of his AI executive order, the updated process will ask agencies to provide much of the same information, including the stage of development, whether it was developed in-house or purchased, and whether the use case involves personally identifiable information maintained by the agency, among other categories. Ultimately, it sets a compilation deadline of November 4th and a publication deadline of December 2nd, maintaining a similar schedule to the previous year. The new guidance comes several years after the first Trump administration in its final weeks created the requirement for public annual inventorying of AI uses within federal agencies. That requirement was later codified. While the first few years were rife with issues such as inconsistency among agencies and even errors, the Biden administration made efforts to improve the process. While not vastly different, the guidance does make changes and generally slims the data collection exercise down to fewer categories. Among those differences, the inventory will no longer reflect the Biden era's designation of specific risk management practices for use cases that are rights and safety impacting. Instead, the Trump administration has opted for a similar designation known as high impact, which it defined in previous guidance on the use of the technology in government. In other news, the General Services Administration mandated in June that all multiple award schedule contract holders will be required to report transactional data beginning in fiscal 2026, expanding a pilot that the agency launched nearly a decade ago. However, GSA's Office of the Inspector General takes objection to that decision to institutionalize the transactional data reporting pilot because it says the agency has, quote, never effectively implemented TDR and has never made it functional, according to a new report. GSA's Federal Acquisition Service launched the TDR pilot in 2016, asking contractors in select product lines to share data on government purchases with the intent of driving better buying decisions. In fiscal 2024, the agency expanded the TDR pilot to encompass 67 categories of products, what GSA refers to as special item numbers or SINs. But along the way, the program has struggled with data quality issues, limited usage and pricing decisions, and a lack of competitive pricing actions, the IG points out in the new report. It states, quote, ultimately, the TDR pilot has been in effect within the multiple award schedule program for 9 years and has yet to accomplish its intended purpose. GSA in fiscal 2020 credited the program as meeting or exceeding targets and deeming it ready for a full expansion. The Inspector General, however, found those claims to be misleading, saying that GSA used, quote, flawed methodologies and inaccurate and unsupported information to make that determination. On top of that, the TDR program's stated goals do not mesh with GSA's latest OneGov acquisition overhaul, the watchdog posits in its report. The IG concludes that GSA's decision to move forward with an expansion of the transactional data reporting program, despite its unaddressed shortcomings, will likely lead to even bigger challenges, like an even larger amount of unusable sales data. Ultimately, the watchdog wrote in its report, GSA's expansion of the transactional data reporting program for all multiple award schedule contracts could place government agencies at risk of overpaying for products and services when ordering from those contracts. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit FedScoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back tomorrow with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, as always, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.